get things started. So thank you all for joining our Brivo live webinar series. If this is the first you're attending, these are very short, focused conversations about all things Brivo, right? What matters most to you. We look forward to your feedback as to topics that we can cover with this. Most of what we've presented so far has been driven by your input, your feedback. Today we'll be talking about growing your RMR, very popular topic amongst our dealers, and we look forward to sharing some thoughts with you. Next, Bryce. So my name is George Farley. I run marketing here at Alibi. Also on the call is Bryce Brendan, who leads our cloud technologies, and Eric Larson from Brivo, who manages alliances and is one of the point people for our relationship with Brivo. Thanks for joining us, Eric. Next slide, Bryce. So quick agenda. First, we'll talk about why RMR, why it should matter to you. Next, we'll talk about some of the opportunities for a typical Brivo installation when it comes to RMR, common add-on opportunities for your Brivo installations, some of the tools that we're offering to help you promote some RMR-based solutions. We'll talk about Brivo integrations, right? Additional opportunities to bring value to your customers that are RMR-based. Finally, at the end of this, we'll address your questions. So throughout the webinar, if you have questions, please just enter them in chat. We'll be watching that chat, and if we don't cover it during the conversation, we'll try to address those at the end. And then we'll talk about some of our upcoming webinars. Today, Bryce is going to cover most of the content. He is our subject matter expert, and look forward to handing it over to you, Bryce.
Thanks, George. Good morning, everybody. This is the webinar that personally I'm most excited for. Hopefully this is going to be really, really valuable. So thank you very much for joining. So, you know, our partnership with Brivo, we got access to their technology, and we'll cover in a little bit just how good the technology is at providing many different pathways for you to earn RMR. But what we wanted to start with on this call is just, why should you care? Why should you care about RMR, right? And we have a lot of conversations with dealers who are kind of at different spots, different places all over the board as far as where they're at with growing RMR. And a really common conversation we'll have when, for example, we're selling like cloud video is people will say, well, you know, I like the platform, I like the concept, but man, when I sell a cloud job, I'm missing out on, you know, the money that recorder is going to give me. Same thing on the access side, right? I'm going to miss that server. Well, the upfront money is great, but when you really dig into the value that it provides your business, it's a much smaller piece of the pie. And what we want to do right now is just kind of zoom way out and just say, okay, what value does RMR provide my business that is as good, or in this case, a lot better than just getting upfront revenue? And so I really like this graphic because it shows the value that RMR will actually provide to your business's valuation compared to upfront revenue. So what this graphic shows is when you sell upfront revenue, it's not going to all go toward your business valuation, right? Obviously. Usually it's going to be somewhere around the 20% mark. And it's a one-time thing, right? So you sell it, it's done, you move on to the next project. This kind of requires you have to constantly fill the top of that funnel and keep selling. RMR is a lot different. So what's great about RMR is that book of business that you close obviously continues to compound over time and grow, and it's coming in on a consistent basis. But also when you have that money coming in, it increases the value of your business by a multiplier. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's actually, it's a pretty big increase. You'll see some numbers thrown around like it's a 15-time per dollar increase or multiplier compared to an upfront CapEx sale, right? Or like in this case, RMR can actually increase your business valuation dollar for dollar 300% more than an upfront sale. Now, this is kind of the same main idea here on the next slide, but again, when you start looking at, okay, what dollars are coming into my business and what are those dollars doing? You know, how am I putting those dollars to work to make my business as valuable as possible? Another thing we'll hear a lot is, you know, hey, I don't need to sell RMR. I do maintenance contracts. And my response to that is, hey, maintenance contracts are great. They're awesome. They're 4 times more valuable to your business than just the upfront installation. But you're still missing out on the single most valuable thing that you can possibly do for your business, which is RMR, which is 8 times more valuable than upfront installation and actually double as valuable as a maintenance contract. And also, it's a heck of a lot easier to kind of maintain an RMR contract than it is a maintenance contract a lot of the time, because it's a heck of a lot easier to send an invoice or charge a credit card each month than it is to have to go climb up on a ladder, rent the lift, and clean lenses off of dome cameras once a month, or, you know, whatever frequency it is once they get dirty, right? So your calorie investment as a dealer to kind of maintain a book of business for RMR compared to a maintenance contract, in most cases, that calorie spend is going to be much, much lower than a maintenance contract. Now, this is something that should probably still be very relevant to everybody here. Really, what RMR does is it future-proofs you, and it honestly kind of disaster-proofs you too. So, fresh off of a pandemic, right? We talked to a lot of dealers all over the country, and it was pretty noticeable the difference between those that had a consistent RMR base coming in and those that didn't. Not for everybody, but for a lot of them. And just having that consistent income coming in and compounding and growing over time was so valuable, and it really helped dealers not just prevent shrinkage during the pandemic, but continue to grow and grow and grow. And so whether you got a great month, you close a huge project, or, you know, maybe not a not so great month of certain things outside of your control change, RMR is going to be what's going to be able to level that out for you and actually help you, you know, really make sure that you're in as good of a position as you can possibly be going into the future. So there's really a couple of kind of calls to action to actually increase the enterprise value of your business. Obviously, if you haven't embraced RMR yet, that's the logical first step, right? Just get into it. Start building the structure around it. The most logical place to start with this is, you know, embrace the technologies, embrace Brivo, embrace Alibi Cloud VS. Start building some billing structure. So get a team or a software at minimum, right? That doesn't have to be a massive investment for you. Start building a structure where you can invoice your customers on a monthly, yearly, whatever it is basis in a way that you're comfortable. Next is you want to make sure that if you've got a sales team, you're incentivizing them to sell RMR. Now, what we mean by that is RMR is different than upfront sales in the sense that it's okay to sell smaller projects. You just want to sell a lot of them, right? So like when you're doing upfront sales, sometimes you get into the habit of whale hunting, where you're going after the biggest projects you can possibly get. Well, RMR kind of, you know, allows you to not have to do that quite as much. Just go sell those 4-camera projects, go sell those 2-door projects, just sell a ton of them. And then after time, it compounds over and over and over. And then that's where your base comes from. And then incentivizing the sales rep, you're telling them, hey, it's okay that you're not selling this massive project. We're going to pay you a multiplier based on the valuation of the lifespan of this customer based on the RMR, right? So let's say you sell them an agreement, you sell them a 3-year agreement to the customer. Well, you know how valuable that agreement is going to be based on your monthly revenue, right? So you can say, okay, salesperson, I'm not just going to give you dollars on the upfront CapEx that the customer is spending. We're going to take a look at what that customer is going to bring us over the next couple of years, and then we're going to give you a chunk of that. And that is really how you get salespeople to go and drive this stuff. Now, the third step is to just maximize the RMR that's already just kind of sitting in front of you on the projects that you're already selling, right? So we'll go over a couple of ways you can do this from a technology standpoint. And again, I kind of hinted at this already. Brivo is really, really good at giving you many different pathways to maximize RMR in every project. But just sometimes it's as simple as just being made aware of a new feature communicating that to your customers, which we help you do. We'll cover that in a second. And then just really kind of, taking advantage of what's right in front of you. So we'll kind of transition to a little bit more of a Brivo specific conversation. So for every single Brivo system that you sell, you are going to have RMR opportunities. So your typical installation, at minimum, you're going to have the door subscriptions, right? You're going to have a door subscription for every single door that you sell. Very frequently, you're also going to have customers that are interested in what's called the Brivo Mobile Pass. So what the Brivo Mobile Pass does, it essentially lets your customers use their phone as their credential. So you don't have to worry about, people losing their key cards, their fobs, people giving out key codes to people who really shouldn't have those key codes. It's just a really smooth experience for the customer. And many customers are taking advantage of this. You can sell this as a subscription in blocks of 100, 500, or 1,000. It's very cost effective. And again, it's a really easy RMR path for you as a dealer. And then video surveillance, right? So for any of you that aren't aware, we have a direct camera to cloud platform called Alibi Cloud VS. Part of the partnership with Brivo was actually unifying the two platforms. And so Brivo can pull in the video from our cloud cameras, put them in the cloud environment, give you cloud access plus video in one place. And then depending on what the customer wants for retention and storage and those kinds of things, that's another RMR opportunity for the video as well. And this is just kind of on your average everyday installation with Brivo. You are also going to get into many customers that have access related needs that will kind of bump them up into the next category, which is like there are a lot of add-on opportunities. The first of which, so Brivo actually sells 3 different editions of their platform. They've got what's called their standard edition, their professional edition, and their enterprise edition. The standard edition is going to be sufficient for the vast majority of the customers that you're working with. Even the standard package is really powerful. Where you'll start getting into the professional and the enterprise editions, which are, as you would probably imagine, bigger RMR opportunities, really is when customers start asking you for things like API integrations, special features like, let's say, like a single sign-on integration with Microsoft Entra. There's several others as well. But basically, they're saying, hey, we need this access platform to work with X, Y, and Z platforms. Well, Brivo has over 90 API partners right now. It's actually pretty rare that we have somebody come to us and say, hey, does Brivo work with this? And we have to say no. And even if we do say no, most of the time there's a direct apples to apples platform that we can recommend that is integrated. So just know Brivo is really good at pulling in technology from many different places and unifying them in one platform. And again, RMR. And then you can even sell like a cell module, right? So like the Brivo panels, many of them can do both just a standard Ethernet connection or Wi-Fi. But let's say you want to sell a cell module for redundant connection in the event that internet were to drop off. Or you could even sell it as the primary connection. Let's say you got a more remote door, like let's say like a gate or something like that, right? Well, you can just sell them a Brivo cell module, connect it right up to the panel. It can handle all that data that's getting transmitted from the control panel itself to the cloud. And then you can actually sell that cell service as an RMR opportunity as well and provide a lot of value to the customer. So there's also a couple of things outside of the actual technology itself that Brivo and us have really stood up to help you be successful with this. So one of kind of the biggest no-brainer services that I think everybody on this call should be taking advantage of when you're quoting a Brivo system is you can actually schedule a 1 hour or even a 30-minute call with a Brivo specialist, and they'll really kill 2 birds with 1 stone for you. So they will take away the burden from you of having to be the technical expert, especially on your first couple installs. This is going to be really valuable. They'll train your customer on how to use the system and how to be proficient with it. But then they'll also actually just dig for areas of opportunity to go and sell any of the features that we were talking about on the previous slides. So for example, let's say you sell like a multifamily project, right? You get the 1 hour training call set up. Well, they'll be talking to your customer with you or without you, totally up to you. And then they'll say, hey, did you know we have single sign-on integration? Oh, we didn't know that. What does that look like? And then they'll just take them right into a demo. They'll show it to them. And then if the customer says, yeah, I really think we're interested in that, they'll kick it back to you. You go ahead, send them a quote for it, sell it, and then you're gaining RMR and actually getting upsells and add-ons from this service call as well. So super, super valuable, very cost effective. I highly recommend when you get a quote from us, you tell us to add it, and we might just add it for you, to be honest. We mentioned this a little bit on the previous slide, but just know, like, API integrations is really what's going to get your foot in the door in a lot of these larger projects too. If you're ever curious about who Brivo works with or what partners they are integrated with, they've got a really clean overview on their website. If you just search Brivo API Integration Marketplace, it'll pull up their site. There's, again, over 90 of them, and then they're segmented by category. So if you're saying, hey, I need intercom integration, go to the site, go to the intercom category. You'll have 3 options right there for you: 2N, MyDoorView, SwiftLink. Same thing with many other types of platforms, but it's all organized in a really easy way for you. And if you're ever curious or you're not sure how to navigate it or which direction to go, just reach out to our team. We can support you on this. And then when you do run into a customer that says, man, I really want to take a little bit more of a look at one of these API partners of yours, use us as a conduit for that. We've got access to the Brivo team, obviously, but we've also got access to individuals at these different API partners. And so we can actually help you, really kind of get experts on your side to be successful and not just selling this gear, but like being able to communicate the value of it, being able to maybe do a live demonstration in certain instances. So just use us as your kind of go-to resource for all things API. And I'm going to go ahead and we can pause for a second. We haven't seen any questions come into the Q&A. So George, I'm actually going to let you talk a little bit about what's next, and then give everybody in the call an opportunity to punch some questions in if y'all have them.
Thank you, Bryce. Yeah, before we jump into next webinar topics, we are producing other resources, some supporting what Bryce shared with you today, right? Just the how to make RMR a priority for you and why it matters, right? So all the slides that were presented today are based in a lot of studies and a lot of data, and we're going to share that with you as well. Looking forward, as I mentioned earlier, we will hold these webinars every 2 weeks. Our next one's a great one, actually. It's Why Brivo, right? So it's positioning of Brivo, the features and benefits to help you win projects. Positioning of Brivo relative to the competition, how it's differentiated, and how you can go on and compete for more projects. So we look forward to holding that one. You can find our entire series online. Everything we've recorded to date is available to you. Every topic that we're planning on sharing with you moving forward is available online. There's also a tool to request content or topics that we'll cover in future webinars. So if there's no questions, Bryce, I attribute that to how effective you were at communicating the content. Thank you all for joining us. As promised, we're keeping these short, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, everybody.